Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is death and discontinuity. We don't talk about death very much. It's something that we culturally avoid in so many ways. And it's an experience that we all have to experience at some point in our lives the death of a loved one. And it's jarring. It's a jarring experience. It's confusing because all of a sudden somebody was here and now they're not. Whether it's a human or a four-footed friend or feathered friend or whatever. It's very confusing and disruptive. And I don't think we get to really have conversations about it that often. So we're going to talk about that today. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. So good to have you here with us and everybody else who's joining us. So before we get started in our conversation, let's just take a couple minutes to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your organs, all your cells. And as you exhale any negativity, fatigue, and let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light, lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating and electrifying, energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining negativity, fatigue, and now let's press our palms together, vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the motion, the pressure, the tickling and tingling when you stop, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're going to talk about death and the disruption of it and the crazy discontinuity that is so confusing. It sort of defies our capacity to reason about it, to understand. And it's such a deep unknown to us that we don't know how to relate to it, how to contend with it in so many ways. I mean, when somebody dies, when someone that we love, particularly when someone that we love dies, the finality of it, the stark contrast of being here and being gone. It's like, what happened? Where did they go? And our culture, it's very, very interesting to me. I had a conversation with a friend the other night about being able to choose our death. In our culture, medicine has, it's almost like the directive of medicine is to stay alive at all costs. And often the cost is quality of life, right? That we will go to incredible lengths medically for our furry friends or our feathered friends too, or our scaled friends, or our are other than human friends. Oftentimes people go to extreme lengths to preserve life. I heard about someone who, I don't know, they had some kind of illness. I don't, it wasn't diabetes, but they kept cutting off parts of her body and like legs and arms and I don't know, I don't know if that was necessarily her choice. This conversation is coming up because a beloved pet of a friend passed, and the friend is just bereft. And the sense, it's hard to have closure. It's hard to have closure around death. I have other friends who I have had the passing of a parent, and a year later is when the mourning has really kicked in. It's not that the grief wasn't there in the first place, but there was so much to do, so much to take care of. And it's when we get past the emergency of a situation that it starts sinking in. But this passing, it's like, where'd they go? Where'd they go? I don't know if there's anything else in life that is as extreme a disruption or as extreme a discontinuity as death is, or the experience of the death of a loved one. When Maggie died, it took me a long time to be able to wrap my head around it. It's funny. It's not that, I mean, death is a universal experience, right? When I have had pets die, it just, it's a surreal kind of experience. When my father died, it was a surreal kind of experience, like here and gone. And it goes to conversation about what is our nature, what is our true nature. And we have experiences that let us know that we're more than our bodies. And I think we find comfort in knowing that there's something more, that we can often still communicate with our beloved ones who have passed, even though they don't have their physical form anymore. But it's, for most of us, we don't have easy access or full access to that dimension of communication in a way that is fulfilling to us in the same way that the physical presence was, right? Some people have a very well-developed ability to communicate, I'll say interdimensionally like that, but most of us don't. And so the loss is the loss. It was interesting. I saw a short clip of, who was it? I think it might have been Jimmy Kimmel. Maybe it wasn't, who was interviewing Keanu Reeves and asked the question, what happens when you die? And I thought Keanu Reeves' answer was just brilliant and perfect. And it was, well, I know that the people who love you will miss you. And that's about what we know about death, mostly, right? With the exception of the folks who have had near-death experiences where they have experienced going into another realm, meeting relatives and friends who have been gone, or experiencing a brilliant light, or experiencing communication with other dimensional beings. And so the stories of our from people who have clinically died and been brought back, those stories have always been a great fascination for me, because I've always had a tremendous curiosity about what is it that happens? What is it that happens? I think it's pretty fascinating to consider that, and also to notice, like, the thing that I think is so disruptive is looking at this discontinuity and the finality. It's confusing. It's something that I experienced this with my friend, because I also knew this pet, and I know what a sweet soul she was, and how deeply committed my friend was to helping her recover. And my friend was shocked at her passing, and not being able to say goodbye, I think, is a big thing, when there's, especially like with sudden death. I don't, even with people who are ill and we're with them while they're dying, it's still a shock. But when there's a death that is sudden, or when there's a death where you don't get to say goodbye, that's even more wrenching. And I think that because death is an unknown to us, we have a deep fear around it. And at least in our culture here in the United States, Western culture does all kinds of things to avoid death, and sees death as a terrible thing. And when my dad was dying, he had become so debilitated, and he was not someone to be debilitated. He was a very much larger than life kind of figure. He just wanted to die. And we were talking about how he could go about doing that. And he finally was able to be in hospice, but he was done. And it wasn't an easy thing to find a way to die that wasn't violent, or that wouldn't have ramifications for people who might be supporting him in that. And thank God he was able to be in hospice. But it's crazy that we have our relationship to death, and the fact that we don't talk about it very much, so or that so many of us have such an aversion. If, like, my mom's going to be 93 next week, which is pretty awesome, and she's sharp as a tack. And she wants to make sure that things are taken care of for her passing. And I can have those conversations with her, but other family members are not wanting to have those conversations. I think it's a disservice to a person who wants to have those conversations not to, because it's not giving them an opportunity to complete their lives in a way that they need to. For instance, when, if someone is dying and they try to talk about it with family members, sometimes the family members will be like, no, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. And, there's such a greater richness for us to be able to open into those conversations. Because the truth is that any of us could die at any moment. And we leave so many things unsaid in life. And oftentimes, people will do deathbed confessions or talk about talk about things that happened in their lives as a way of kind of making peace. My father said to me very near the end, I hope I was a good father. It's things in the face of death, people grant themselves a freedom to address things that they left unaddressed in life. And I guess what would be a powerful and empowering thing would be to live our lives knowing that we could die at any moment, being informed by our death to live life more fully. Years and years ago, I was binging on Carlos Castaneda books, and these were stories of an apprenticeship to a shaman. And one of the things that stuck with me was to carry death with you as an advisor. It was on your left shoulder, I think, is what they were talking about, and that death can be an advisor, and to remind us that our lives are temporary, that this physical form is a temporary thing And if we can remember that, maybe we can honor life more fully, and we can maybe live better lives as better people, to not wait to make things better, to not wait to be better humans, that we can live into the person we want to be remembered as. We can live into the person that we desire to be, knowing that eventually we will meet death face to face. And I don't know that I believe in all the extraordinary measures that people take to stay alive at all costs, or to keep others alive at all costs, like being on respirators and other kinds of machines that take care of our functions for us. I know it's certainly a case by case kind of situation. I'm not looking to make grand pronouncements. I know for me, I don't want extraordinary measures to keep me alive at all costs. If I'm incapacitated, I want to be let go. I remember my grandmother was 95, and she had a do not resuscitate order that was defied. She did not want to be brought back, and she had I think it was that she had a heart attack, and she was so angry when she was brought back. It was like, she wanted to go, she had the opportunity, and her will was overridden by medical, we could say the miracles of modern medicine, but she was done. She was done. So the whole conversation about death, it's a confusion in so many ways. And I think Keanu Reeves had it right, that those of us who remain have to figure it out, and have to deal with the loss and the permanence of that loss. It's crazy, right? It's like the biggest, I don't know, I wanted to say paradox almost. Good morning, Robin. So good to see you here. It's been a while. You got here just in time to have us wrap up together. But we were talking about death and discontinuity, and how death is so confusing, to be the here and gone kind of thing. It's just such an interesting and confusing circumstance that we all contend with. And I really think that as we allow ourselves, so Carol Sanford, who I keep mentioning, is a remarkable woman, and she is dying of ALS, and she is inviting people to go through this dying process with her so that she can be conscious, and so that others can be conscious, and experience this passing in a way that is very different from the traditions of our culture, in a way that honors life, that honors death, that is present to the process. It's pretty remarkable. And I think if there were more of that, we would be, it's like the last taboo to break, or one of the biggest taboos to break is our taboo against death. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And Rosalind, thank you. You're so sweet. Rosalind says, I'll be sad when you're gone, Mira. Thank you. That's very sweet. I'm not expecting to go anytime soon, but who knows, right? We never know. Anyway, I invite you all to check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network and Enlightened World Living. And Dido, I'm so glad to have you here with us. So much love to all of you, and until next time.